evening. Welcome to ABC News Sunday. I'm Louisa Rebgetz. Refugees held offshore by Australia for years could soon be making a new life in the United States. The government has struck a one-off deal with the US to resettle people from Nauru and Manus Island. But key details remain unclear, as does the impact Donald Trump's election could have on the arrangement. Political editor Chris Uhlmann begins our coverage from Washington.
This deal raises as many questions as it answers, and there's no clarity on how many refugees the US is willing to take. But it is a step towards solving a diabolical problem, as Dan Conifer reports from Canberra.
People smuggling via Indonesia is something Australian governments have been watching for years.
Malcolm Turnbull.
Nice to meet you.
Good to see you.
And this one is around the clock from its Maritime Border Command in Canberra.
We need to be the strongest, the most resolute.
Now, after spotting, stopping and sending back boats, the operation's next step has arrived.
To empty and close the detention centres.
With almost military secrecy, Australia's worked with the United States for nearly a year on a deal to resettle refugees left in limbo.
It is a one-off agreement. It will not be repeated.
Women and children will be first in line.
The priority is very much on the most vulnerable, which are family units.
Ahead of nearly 900 men on Manus Island.
We do welcome this. We want to see people moved out of these facilities.
We need to make sure that no one is left behind on Manus Island and Nauru.
But how many refugees are taken rests with the US and its strict health and security checks.
We in the United States have agreed to consider referrals from UNHCR.
American officials will arrive in Australia over coming days. It's hoped the first refugees will move to their new home in the new year.
Wow.
Timing could be crucial.
We deal with one administration at a time. There is only one president of the United States at a time.
Refugees who reject the US option are instead set to receive a 20-year Nauruan visa with no further Australian support. The government knows the US deal could entice people smugglers. It's sending naval ships to waters north of Australia to create what one government source has described as a ring of steel.
We have more assets at sea, and we have been positioning those assets in recent months in anticipation of this announcement.
And for any boats breaking through,
Nauru will remain in its current status forever.
Well, thank you. Our security depends on you.
And for those not deemed refugees, the choice remains the same. Go home or stay in the Pacific. Dan Conifer, ABC News, Canberra.
The deal with the United States will clearly not empty the offshore detention centres of their 1,300 souls, but it is another step towards it, and other deals are being brokered with third countries. The government needs to clear the centres because the longer people are held, the more likely it is that there'll be more self-harm and deaths. And although the majority of Australians support the hardline on borders, there is greater unease with indefinite detention. So both major parties will welcome this. It's a much-needed win for the coalition coming at the end of a bad year that soured with the near-death experience at the election. And Labor will hope that winding down offshore detention will be complete by the next election because its own hard line on it deeply divides the party. Any time it dominates political debate, Labor loses. But there is one unknowable. This is a deal struck with the Obama administration, which has just 67 days left in office. How it will be viewed by an incoming Trump administration is anyone's guess. Chris Uhlmann, ABC News, Washington.